If you've been doing CrossFit for a little while now and you're just eluded by that RX carrot that's dangling in the wind, that is just out of your reach, or maybe you've been doing it for about 12 months and you're not too sure whether you qualify to be an RX athlete, this is the video for you. Today we're going to discuss the absolute bare minimum requirements that you're going to need to be an RX athlete based on the 2020 to 2024 CrossFit Open standards. We're going to cover a range of different things in this video, so at any point you need to pause it, save, screenshot, or go back to a part. There'll be plenty of time codes down below. Let's jump into the video. Now, to make this video a little bit clearer for you guys at home, we're going to break it down into the three portions of CrossFit. We've got strength, conditioning, and gymnastics. And we're going to touch on each individual modality and run through the bare minimum requirements that you need as an athlete to even qualify as an RX athlete in the CrossFit Open Standards of 2025. We'll jump through and run through some different movements and strategies that you can apply, things that you need to be aware of. But first off, what is required for you at home to be an RX athlete when it comes to strength? Bit of context, in the previous couple of years of CrossFit, the strength standards have skyrocketed as it is the sexy thing for the spectator. It's very easy to understand what weights are heavy and what weights are not because you can easily compare it to your own ability. And for many people, seeing colors on a screen is very easy to understand versus how fast someone's holding on their row time or how many double unders per second someone's able to maintain. Strength is just non-biased. It's simple. It's linear. It's a simple standard that you can see in front of you that makes it very easy for the viewer to know who's stronger than who. In the standards of strength when it comes to the open, there's a lot of separator workouts that fluctuate some of the numbers that we've seen in previous years. So I've created two sides of the board. The side on my right, which will be your left, is going to be the side that the open recommends that you need to have to complete all workouts as prescribed. The side on the left, however, is more of a realistic standard of what you should expect to have to be able to get through as far enough through the open workouts as possible so that you're able to achieve quarterfinal status by doing the workouts pretty much RX. Let's start with what we have seen with CrossFit over the last couple of years, since about 2021, some of the standards that they expect you to be able to hit. Now keep in mind, I've seen semi-final athletes not complete some of the open workouts and still make it to the semi-finals. So you don't need to have this strength, it's just what they have for the workout separators to get a bit of an idea of where everyone's sitting. We've got 5 movements that have been in the last 4 opens: deadlift, thruster, clean, snatch, and front squat. And as you can see, there are some variation of the weights. Looking at the deadlift, 102 and 70 is pretty standard when it comes to deadlift workout weights in CrossFit workouts. You generally won't see anything too much higher than this weight as far as overall volume, and we're looking at around about 40 to 60 reps, generally speaking. The thruster is a pretty common one that comes up quite often, with recent years having the heavy thruster being introduced into some of the open workouts. We've seen this weight come up twice in the last couple of years, so it's something that you're pretty much going to expect at an RX standard. Now, does that mean you need to cycle countless reps of thrusters at 61 and 38 kilos? No, as long as you can kind of do 1 or 2, you'll be pretty good. Cleans have been only in once, and at a lightweight, 61 and 38, there was 30 repetitions in a repeat open workout. So this is a kind of weird one to have in there because it's not really an accurate standard of what you need to have for a clean, but it is one of the 5 barbell movements that we've seen. The snatch is also a funny one. 102 for males, 70 for ladies for the snatch, ending in one of the workouts, I believe it was 23.3, pretty extreme standard to have for even the base level of RX. So you can kind of ignore that one, but that's just how high some of these workouts can go. Finally, front squats being embarrassingly light compared to the rest of them, but there were 45 front squats in, I believe, 21.3. So this is the standard for that. Now, flick over to the other side. So based on those 5 movements, this is what I would expect you to be able to hit as an RX athlete to not only get through the majority of the CrossFit.com workouts, the main site, the girls, the hero workouts, but also CrossFit Open workouts in futures to come. Looking at the male standards, deadlift 143.93 for at least one rep is ideal because some of the workouts that they have put out in the past have extended upwards to this particular weight. having the ability to do it will also transfer over heavily to the 102 and 70 standard that you'll generally see in most CrossFit workouts, giving you a bit of a capacity and at least understanding of how you're going to be able to navigate that type of weight. Thruster, 70 and 50, like I mentioned, we just want to do a few reps at that 61-38 standard. So having a little bit more strength than required will be ideal for that particular movement. In 2023, we did see a 1 rep max thruster, but that being said, this is a decent standard weight. There's workouts like Kalsu, which is a hero workout, Fantasyland. There are workouts out there that have heavy thrusters in it at about that 61 kilo range. So having a 70 kilo thruster for males, 50 for ladies will be enough. Cleans. Now, this is a big jump from this side of the board, I know, but having at least a 100 kilo clean for a male and a 65 kilo for a female will allow you to do a workout like Holloman. It will give you the opportunity to, if they do bring up another clean workout like they have in the past, that kind of extended towards that 85 to 100 kilo range, you'll be able to get through the majority of the rounds. So we've seen workouts before in the past that have gone up to 145 kilo clean and jerk. With the new standard of CrossFit, I just don't think we'll see that anymore. That'll be more for the quarterfinals or even the semifinals level. There's not just a one open pass straight to the regional setting. We've got the quarterfinals in there as a barrier. They'll add more intense workouts. And this year we saw 111 kilo clean and jerks right at the back half of one of the quarterfinal workouts. Once again, quarterfinals. So we're unlikely to see a weight that heavy in the open. At least a 100 kilo clean, 65 for ladies will be ideal. Snatches, obviously a huge reduction compared to there, but like I said, for many athletes, including myself, in that one open workout that had 102 kilo snatches, I scored really well and I missed all my snatches 102. So having at least an 85 kilo snatch made it, it gets doable for you to get through that round of 3, which had 83 kilo snatches for that. Ladies, 50 kilos on the snatch for you. Obviously 70 is going to be extreme, but at least being able to do 50 will give you opportunity to do plenty of workouts out there that have a moderate snatch weight of about 38 kilos. That also includes Isabel. That's a classic one, 30 snatches per time. Being able to at least cycle it, singles or doubles, will allow you to get through that workout in a relative amount of time. So these are the standards that people generally forget. They forget about these old school workouts that have barbells in them. If you're able to hit those at RX, you're pretty much on track to being an RX athlete. Finally, front squat. I do think the standard of this should be fairly over what we're doing over here. Most people think, 10 to 20% of your front squat should be over your clean, so 120%. It's a good weight to have if we compare it to our other results. That's kind of matching, 120 for the males, 80 for the ladies. That'll just give you adequate strength that if you have to perform a squat clean at this kind of weight, you're able to sustain it and you're not going to get stuck in the hole. It's also just good overall strength to have. There's not many front squat workouts out there, especially heavy front squats, but as we saw at the the semifinals recently, they had 100 kilo front squats for 50 reps. I'm not saying you'll ever have to do that, but even the ability to do a few means you're going to be on the right track to having RX strength. Now that we've covered the bare minimum requirements of strength, let's take a look at number 2, gymnastics. What type of movements do you need to be able to perform? How many repetitions are going to be required? And if there's anything there that you might need to double down on when it comes to the next CrossFit Open so that you can successfully navigate RX workouts. Let's jump into number 2, gymnastics. When it comes to gymnastics, competency is going to be much more valuable than overall volume and repetitions. Obviously, having a mixture of both will be ideal for you to achieve success when it comes to being an RX athlete. However, just being able to do all of the movements on the board allow you to have so much more reach when it comes to open workouts because so many people get bottlenecked on their first bar or ring muscle up. These can be valuable movements to have in your wheelhouse that will allow you to succeed and get to the next stage, which is going to be the quarterfinals or potentially your first local RX comp. Let's have a look at the most volume that we've seen from all of the movements in one singular go when it comes to our gymnastics. Now, taking a first look at the movements, we've got a fair range of movements that are in this particular list, and I've included everything that involves rigs or inverted. So using the rig, going inverted, upside down, etc. So what we see from this list is we have quite a significant amount of repetitions overall, but keep in mind, this was either the total volume in one set or the total volume in the workout multiplied by whatever. Let's start with the wall walks. 21 wall walks is a lot in one set. Like I mentioned, this is just total volume. So having the ability to perform 21 in a relative amount of time will be like the top end fitness you need for a wall walk. 50 toes to bar was seen in the repeat 14.4 workout where it had 50 toes to bar as the second movement. 30 chest to bar is the most we've seen in the last 4 years. 30 bar muscle-ups was in a workout, I believe it was 21.3. 30 bar muscle-ups in one go. Now, once again, it's a lot of repetition. Movement competency is the big thing, but this is just a number to keep in mind. 20 ring muscle-ups, which was a very intense, big separator for a lot of people, was a big portion of 14.4's repeat that got a lot of people stumped. We have 40 burpee pull-ups was the top end that a lot of the elite athletes got to in the 23.2. 21 regular pull-ups, this was in, I believe, 22.3. It was the start to the workout. We haven't seen pull-ups very often in the CrossFit Open, so it's not a big one I would be too concerned about. And then strict handstand push-ups, we had 2 sets of 20, being the most handstand push-ups we've seen in the recent years. It's good to have the ability to do it, but like I said, this is the top end volume. Now, these are my recommendations of what I think you should be able to get out. And there's a range there. Obviously, there's a range. It just means that if you have anywhere from this to this ability, you're going to be pretty good when it comes to most RX workouts. With wall walks, having the capacity to perform 5 to 10 repetitions at a time will be ideal. Wall walks being a quite significantly challenging movement, and many of us would consider it cardio. It is good to have at least 5 reps in the bag, like we saw with the snatch workout that started with 5 wall walks. Having that ability to get through those wall walks and not get bottleneck in that particular portion of the workout will be ideal. Obviously, the end range being 10. If you had 10 in your bag, you're going to smash wall walks anytime they come up. Toes to bar, having the ability to do anywhere from 15 to 25. Rich Froning always coined the sets of 5 as an option to get through high volume sets of toe to bars in workouts that are very grip intensive. So even having the ability to do consistent sets of 5 will be ideal, but this is a max set. Looking for a max set of 15 to 25 will be key to get through those workouts that have the 30, 50 toes to bar in them. Between 10 and 20 chest to bar unbroken will be cool. That's good to have. Like I said, the set of 30, you could have broken it up into 6 sets of 5 or 5 sets of 6. And then you would still have the capacity to have a few more reps left in the tank if you could push it a little bit more. The ability to do 3 to 5 bar muscle-ups will be ideal. Bar muscle-ups being a very challenging movement, even having 1 in your sleeve will be good. But we've seen as of late, there's been lots of workouts that have multiple bar muscle-ups in it. So having that capacity will be key. 1 to 5 ring muscle-ups, even getting 1 ring muscle-up will put you well ahead of the rest of the pack, but having the ability to do a few more repetitions will obviously just increase your chances of making quarterfinals. It's unlikely that we'll see ring muscle-ups come up again in the Open, but just in case, having at least 1 up your sleeve under a bit of fatigue will be ideal. 5 to 10 burpee pull-ups, it's a cardio workout, but having the ability to do 5 to 10 in one set will be key. 15 to 21 pull-ups, Fran has plenty of pull-ups. We've got Murph, like all basic CrossFit workouts probably generally contain some form of kipping or butterfly pull-up. So having sets of 15 to 21 will be good. Strict handstand push-ups, having the ability to do 5 to 10 will have good capacity. There's been a lot of workouts in recent past that have had strict handstand push-ups and even wall-facing strict handstand push-ups. So having the ability to do a few reps will be good. And if they do change and have the wall-facing option come up in years to come, you'll at least be able to squeeze out 1, maybe 2 repetitions and have that movement competency up your sleeve. Being competent at these movements, like I said, is inherently way more important than being voluminous, having a lot of volume in your bag, having a lot of conditioning and capacity, but obviously having both will be key. So if you can at least follow the left side of this list and have the left side of the movements, you're off to a good start. Improve on those so that you are pushing towards that other side of the list, and in no time, you'll be crushing open workouts that have gymnastics in them. Finally, everyone's least favorite, cardio. We're going to look at the bare minimum cardio requirements. Now, compared to the other 2 modalities, these are the easiest to obtain, and for many, they probably already have most of them as it is. But what's the bare minimum cardio requirement to be an RX athlete in this day and age of CrossFit? Let's have a look at what's required to be RX. Our final corner of the triangle is conditioning. Now, this is probably the simplest one to follow. There's either capacity or competency. They're basically the two elements you need to keep in mind. Obviously, same as gymnastics, you need to have both to be a successful athlete, but with conditioning, it's a very easy thing to develop, and at the same time, you don't necessarily have to have the best cardio to be able to get through most of the workouts. Competency and strength will actually help progress you more than overall conditioning. As we get further and further into CrossFit, that changes massively and conditioning becomes a massive element. But if you can't lift a certain weight or perform a certain movement, it doesn't matter how fit you are, you ain't never going to do it, right? So anyone who could do it, even if they make it there 3 or 4 minutes after the fit person, will beat them every time. When we look at overall capacity, 60 calories on the row and 50 dumbbell snatches are basically the standard you're looking for those two movements. We haven't really seen the rower in a capacity that high since then. The most recent open, we saw a 300-meter row, but that was essentially a rest in the stream of things of the workout. We look at the other side, we've got movements like double unders, which has been a staple CrossFit workout movement since the beginning or an inception. We're looking at somewhere around about 50 double unders being the minimum capacity that you can bang out no matter what. If we aren't at the stage of double unders, you seriously need to start practicing it. And as it's a skill, you can add it in as 5 to 10 minutes as a warm-up every single session, or at least every second session, to get that skill under control. If you don't start working on it, as soon as there's a double under workout that comes out, your session is over. We've seen in the past a double under workout that had upwards of 800 double unders. So if you struggle to do one, you're not going to go anywhere. Wobbles, even though capacity, they are certainly a skill. Being able to perform wobbles requires a coordination and balance. It also requires a bit of timing with how the ball lands and your particular technique and bracing to receive the ball in the bottom position. I'd suggest everyone should have about a sub-6 Karen when it comes to being able to have adequate wobble capacity, and being able to do at least 50 reps unbroken would be ideal. We've seen workouts start with 50 to 100 wobbles, so having that capacity will be key. Shuttle runs, burpees in any form is just a skill about how you get down and get up. Obviously, you need capacity to be able to perform these to high rep ranges, but realistically, how you move your body is going to be a big indicator of how long or how short a repetition is going to take. Some workouts you're required to do burpee box jump overs at a capacity of between 3 to 5 seconds per rep. As seen with the quarterfinal workout that had 150 burpee box jump overs. If you're doing them 9 to 12 seconds per rep because your technique is sloppy, it's just going to ruin your workout and going to take you forever, and then you're going to resent them more. Burpees are fairly easy to work on, but everyone hates them. You're going to have to get good at them in some capacity because pretty much every open has burpees. These are all the variations that generally come up in some way, shape, or form, including the burpee pull-up. So keep that in mind. Shuttle runs is a kind of a new addition. Just making sure that you are efficient with your turnarounds will be ideal. Practicing those in some capacity in warm-ups or easier workouts will be ideal, but you don't need to really focus large amounts of time to those particular movements. It's just going to be more the double unders that will require a little bit more intent to be able to master. But that covers conditioning. It's pretty straightforward. You don't really need cardio at an RX level in the entry stages, but once you're looking at progressing that elite standard, you're going to have to build an engine somehow. So that's when you're going to have to knuckle down on your echo bike intervals, your rowing intervals, your runs, etc. Look, I hope this video clears up what are the minimum standards required for you at home as an athlete to be RX. If you've got any questions, qualms, and queries, be sure to comment down below. We'll be able to help you out, run through some of those questions, and be able to help develop your ability as an RX athlete. If you are looking for more online programming and don't currently have a coach, check out my website, unboundathletic.com.au/online coaching. And I, or one of the other coaches here at Unbound with over 3 decades of CrossFit experience, can help you become a better athlete. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Stay a beast.